Sahn, congrats on just a beautiful, heartfelt, stunning debut album. The vibrations on the mornings, they are immaculate.
We all got angels, and we all got demons too.
At what point did Simone become Sahn?
I think actually Simone's been becoming sahn for a while. She was kind of born out of envisioning the highest version of myself. I think that it wasn't really until, the events of the last few years and being able to watch an artist live as an artist and what that looked like and what it meant to pursue your work in that kind of way. And it made it look more real to me.
How long has the mornings been in the works, and why did this moment feel like the right time to release this?
I started writing it almost exactly 3 years ago. Wake Up My Love was the first one that I started writing. And writing songs has always been a means for me to process my own emotions and thoughts. But I wrote that song while I was also just in a space of like understanding how finite our existence is and just asking myself hard questions about the kind of life that I wanted to live and how I would define my life as a success when I am 99 sitting in my rocking chair on the porch. How am I going to look back on my life and deem it a success? And that answer for me was having no fear.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not having no fear, but having the courage to push beyond the fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, not being as good as you think you are is really what I think held me back for so long from pursuing music, with intention.
Mm-hmm.
And after my husband passed, I had this kind of intolerance for excuses for anyone outside of me and especially for myself. So if it felt like I was not making a move or committing to a decision because I was scared, then I just told myself I'm just going to do it anyway. Just for the sheer fact that it scares me, I'm going to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. So I used that, and I used just this, the kind of some of the superpowers that grief will give you to help me to push through. And it felt like a very clear direction. It felt like something that I had to write and not something that I was like, oh yeah, I'm deciding to write an album today. The songs were just kind of coming. Mm-hmm. And it was taking shape before I had to put a label on it.
Yeah, obviously you do explore the themes of grief and mourning throughout the album. The presence of your late husband, our dear Chadwick Boseman, is heavily felt throughout. From the opening track of Chad's Prayer to the mornings. How did he or his spirit inspire this album?
I mean, it's hard to say how his spirit didn't influence the album, because it influenced me. It just the things that I learned from knowing Chad, from loving Chad, from being loved by Chad, from watching the way that he approached his life and his relationships and his work. I learned how to kind of start to trust my spirit. I was learning how to process my thoughts and decide which ones I wanted to listen to, decide which ones were coming from a higher power and which ones were not. And there were, countless times when I would see, certain signs that I kind of associate with being messages from different different angels of mine.
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like his presence is all around me all the time. And during the making of this album, it was no different than that, than it is, every day.
How have you been coping, and how therapeutic has this been as a release for you?
It's been everything. It's been everything. It's in a huge way, it's how I healed. It's how I got comfortable with the feelings. It's how I got comfortable with the vulnerability of it all. And it gave me a really safe space to go through all of that. There's always like, you write an album that's 10 songs, you've written 40, and there was space for experimentation, and there was space for me to be as raw as I wanted to and be as angry as I wanted to. And I also will credit my producing partner and my friend, Kayhan Azadi, who I've been working with now for for 10 years or more, for opening up that safe space too. Grief is not a linear journey. It's back and forth, and it's up and down, and it's sideways, and it's inside out. And I think that I hope that the album is reflective of that there is not one moment that you're shocked and one moment that you're angry and then one moment where you accept it. It's circular and it's cyclical. Mm-hmm. But it was, I think, discovering those moments when you make something that feels magical and that feels true, sparked this fire. It's like, I had this little light, and now through this process, it's like burned a hole through the ceiling.